Being respectful of everyone's time, I want to go ahead and get started. So, welcome to our virtual speaker series for 2025. My name is Jamal Ford, and with me is our director, Mark Durgan. Today's webinar is titled Youth Development and Healing, and it is being provided by the PA Care Partnership, which is a statewide system of care grant in association with the Office of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, better known as OMSAWS. Today, we have our presenter, Dr. Dermell Brunson, who is a Baltimore native and graduate of the Baltimore School for Arts, is a passionate advocate for youth development, leadership, and mental health. With over a decade of experience in Maryland's mental health and foster care systems, he founded the Leaders of Tomorrow Youth Center in 2004 to empower youth through arts, education, and life skills. He later established Impacting Tomorrow Health Center, offering therapeutic and vocational services. Holding a doctorate in clinical counseling with a concentration in religion, Dr. Brunson continues to consult nationally, guiding youth and family programs in Maryland, Nevada, and Georgia. His mission is to help young people discover their strengths and make meaningful life choices while building stronger families. So, with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Dermell Brunson.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Brother Ford. Mr. Durgan, I really appreciate the opportunity to meet all of you and be a part of this day. Uh, Wanted to just kind of start with reflective moments. Just thinking of want everybody to kind of go into their mind's eye, as Jamal mentioned in his wonderful write-up about us. Our mission and focus is arts education. We provide performing and creative arts resources for young people, early learning age through the age of 19. And it's very important for us to identify any gaps in areas where there's a lack of equity for young people having access to the performing and creative arts. So we're talking music and theater, dance, visual arts, creative writing, fashion and cosmetology, culinary arts, media arts, martial arts, and many offshoots of those particular genres and derivatives. It's important for us to teach self-reflection and because the arts is soul work, guys. The arts is about the soul. It's about the expression and the expressive patterns that we can identify and love in others when we talk about all types of performing and creative arts. And so that self-reflection is something we love to offer for young people. And since we do, I would love us to start this webinar off with a little self-reflective moment for all of us, and just ask us to take a few seconds to get in your mind's eye. And when you get in your mind's eye, that's a old theater technique. You close your eyes, and you kind of center your breathing and center yourself. And I would love for everyone to get into their mind's eye for a few seconds when I say go, and just to think of your personal happy place, whatever that may be. It could be a physical location. It could be a point of Zen. It could be an idea or a person. Uh, but when I say go in a few seconds, I would love and appreciate for everyone to just start our webinar off with a few seconds of self-reflectiveness around your place of Zen, your place of happiness, your place of joy, and let's live there in our mind's eye for about 10 to 15 seconds. All right, ready, go. Beautiful, beautiful. Uh, Mine personally, not asking anyone to share theirs, but mine personally was just with family, but on a beach, on a beach, with some sand and the waves and the sunshine. Not too hot of a sun, not the boiling baking kind, just that middle, early 80s, light humidity, 79, even 80, 81, but on a beach, water good enough to get in, but surrounded by loved ones, is definitely a place of zen for me. So we have the slide up. Just going to go through this briefly, just to introduce again Leaders of Tomorrow Youth Center, so you can kind of know the work we're doing in Greater Baltimore, DC Metro, and Hampton Roads, Virginia. We're currently exploring opportunities to serve in York, PA, as well as Philadelphia, PA. We really believe that there are some similarities in the needs of the young people that we've seen in Baltimore, DC, and Hampton Roads, Virginia. And so it's really important again for us. We're totally committed to using the arts as a modality of all things for young people. When we talk about uh, um, academic success, interpersonal and social skill building, even finding again that soul work that could be used for coping mechanisms. A lot of the young people and a lot of us growing up for various reasons in family dynamics or what have you may experience some level of trauma or experience some level of opportunities and experiences that prevent us from maybe growing in a certain place. And so the arts are also a conduit to allow young people to tap in early in life with a place that gives them their creative zen, right? Their creative happy place. Whether we're talking those that are into dance or visual art, we really believe that we're creating pathways for the future for young people when you think of how we can structure programming. And so our programming exists in schools for the school academic school day, after school, summer, and then our community program, which is our one-on-one arts mentoring that is created specifically for young kids matriculating through the love of foster care or awarded to the state in juvenile services, those young people who uh, are in need of additional resources and care. We've created a one-on-one arts mentoring, which is our LTYC version of mentoring that pairs each young person with uh, a mentor in a specific art form that they are interested in to come to their community and home placement and provide mentoring support around the arts. So this first slide here is just talking about our mission and vision. We'll go to the next one. We'll just keep, going through them quickly to give everybody our core values, and we'll talk a little bit about today our philosophy of care, which is really important because of our building relationships. We believe that everything is done through relationship. Of course, when you're communicating with individuals and you're working in human services, even though this is arts education, even though there's a mental and behavioral health component to PA care partnership and community component, it's all relationship building. And I think any one of us on this call would agree with each other that the relationship building piece is really paramount to getting anything done, right? In the earth, right? Everything is coming through and based upon uh relationship. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that later in our interactive portion of our communication today. So our core values are there. The quality arts instruction, as I mentioned earlier, is really important for us because it's so powerful to see uh young people pretty much to say it easily come out of their shell, right? It's, we're always looking, Brother Ford, to see young people kind of grow in a way that keeps their communication high. And all of us learn differently, all of us communicate differently, but the core being inside of all of us is that we want to be heard, we want to be loved, we want to be respected, we want to have something that we have a sense of belonging and meaning. And so we really believe highly in the performing and creative arts working in all platforms. When you're talking, academic, we're talking athletics, we're talking, STEM. We add the A in STEM and make it STEAM. We're talking science and engineering. We're talking health. Any of the domains that young people could begin to learn, we believe the art forms allow them to also be expressive and have some coping skills and increase their communication skills. I am concerned as an arts educator and leader of, you know, how we approach the arts for young people. I'm really concerned about the lack of opportunities for uh, young people to continue engaging with each other, right? In a one-on-one interpersonal setting. Everything is done so much now through the internet, through computer, through social media, through the phone, through the tablet. We're missing an opportunity to develop our young people in a human connectivity sort of way that still leaves room for authentic relationships to build, right? And so when the danger, though there are many benefits, just like it was with the internet, of even something like AI, is removing the creative impulse from young people, right? When I was in school, we had something where you could get the answers. It was called Cliff Notes, right?
Mhm.
You can just, cliff note it, even at that point, Googling something hadn't really become a thing. But the cliff notes was the way you took the shortcut. I don't know if I would know anything if I were being taught in a school day where all I have to do is tell Chat GPT or type it in for the A, and all of these different examples or specificities of what I'm looking for come up without me having to do another level of research and trusting of the facts and information. And we have to be careful about it moving the creativity out of young people. We want young people to, be able to communicate the depths of themselves, their thoughts and feelings, because they're two different things. We want them to hear their thoughts and we want to know their feelings. And we can learn what that is through art, through the painting of a portrait, through the writing of a song, through expression of a dance piece, through the knowledge and creativity that comes from uh, making moves in culinary space. We've seen young people really show up in a way when they're in the culinary arts class. And so that last bullet there of delivering high quality arts instruction really is a derivative of the building relationships and allows us to create a culture and an environment that's safe and nurturing for young people to express. Uh,
So
just just knocking through 'em with, you have anything to add, brother Ford?
I wanted to ask a question because
Yes.
you touched on something that we have seen since the pandemic, a lot of anxiety rise in our youth and young adults, especially when it comes to in-person interactions. We've heard of instances where our young adults are, taking parents on interviews for jobs, things, all of those kind of things. And I wanted to um, ask the question of how you see um, those things, because you said that there was a concern of yours of some of those things, and I wanted to see what your perspective was and how a lot of these things, especially when it comes to the arts, um, could help our young people kind of deal with some of that anxiety that they are facing and the anxiety that they are dealing with um, currently.
Absolutely. And thanks for saying that. Yes, I believe wholeheartedly that exposing and introducing young people to the performing and creative arts at a young age will create a pathway for them to be balanced, and to cope with healthy coping mechanisms instead of things that are self-destructive. And we all
Mhm.
need that through adulthood, right on up until we transition from this earth. We all need that. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
if we can start to ensure that young people have the ability to cope, and that includes, as you're saying, anxiety in all things.
Mhm.
Anxiety numbers have risen because of that uh, pressure, the social media algorithms, and the time that's spent for all human beings to get their messaging that way in that quick, fast-paced way
Mhm.
creates a level of um, anxiety. And
Mhm.
so it's odd, and we should want to um, find solutions for young people to not feel the need to take a parent on an interview with them to a job,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
it's on us as the leaders, those coming together, like those who are spending their time to be on this webinar today. And again, thank you all for being on here. These are the conversations that spark that change and how we respond to what we see that's unsavory, if I could call it unsavory,
Mhm.
right? Because for us, arts education, my concern with it is, first of all, parents are pulling their kids out of schools at rapid rates. Homeschooling is the fastest growing form of education in America.
Mhm.
In America. And today, unfortunately, this morning we had another school shooting at a school in Minneapolis, just this morning. And
Mhm.
so, that's a main reason. Um, Bullying is another main reason. Health concerns, especially spawning from the pandemic and the sensitivity of those of us that may have compromised immune systems, and and also anxiety, Jamal. Kids not being able to handle what it feels like to go to school and be there all day and be around peers. And so the numbers are showing that parents are pulling the kids out. Our only concern is when you pull them out, they're missing three core things that young people need: the social and interpersonal ability to walk into a cafeteria and know which crew is your crew, right? Or are
Mhm.
you going to sit at a table by yourself if that's your thing? We all have to go through that from
Mhm.
elementary, middle, and high school, no matter if you're in a public, private, charter, Montessori, Catholic school, it don't matter. Whatever school you're going to, we all have to go through the ups and downs and evolution of those social woes. So you're pulling kids out of school, they're going to miss that ability to do that. They're going to miss phys ed. They're going to miss the interaction in a group setting in a science lab. And the biggest thing, of course, that we're concerned about is you miss the fine arts.
Mhm.
You don't have that interactive in classroom experience with the fine arts. And so that's a part of that evolution of technology, Jamal, where we see technology is useful and helpful and does simplify things. However, if we don't create a balance, which is what we hope the arts can do in the lives of young people, is create that balance. So you're not missing out on the ability to keep steady,
Mhm.
right? Because
Mhm.
that's we want the steadiness to happen in the lives of young people so they can be well-rounded and
Mhm.
holistic in the approach to life and not heavily leaning on one side or another. And
Right.
yes, we think the arts allows, as just a simple version of saying it lets young people come out of their shell. It
Mhm.
lets you find something, because when we're being strength-based, we have to get in the habit of accusing our young people of being well, right? We've gotten into a habit as providers, as social workers, as mental health providers, as educators, as parents, as principals, as leaders, as preachers, as teachers. We've gotten into a habit of pointing out all the unwanted
Mhm.
behaviors or things happening in young people, and we haven't spent enough time accusing them of being well. You can make accusations against young people that don't have a negative connotation.
Mhm.
We can change the energy of that word accusation, or what it feels like to be accused, because we're accusing young people all the time locally in the 95, 83 PA Maryland corridor where we're all right now.
Mhm.
across the country and in the world, we're beginning to accuse young people of things that continue to positively, even though we don't like to make it seem like that. That's positive reinforcement.
Mhm.
When you continue to rehearse something with a generation, when you rehearse something in the media, rehearse something in the social media, rehearse something in schools and in newspapers and publications, and we keep calling them troubled and calling them anxious and calling them these things, if we can align them with something that brings life and love and be strength based,
Mhm.
now by being strength based, we can accuse them of being well.
Yes. It's a it's a very interesting thing that you said, because we always say that, systems tend to be more deficit based, and they focused on the things that aren't good, things that the families aren't doing well, or that the youth, the young adult isn't doing well, and in my eyes, it's as if we're creating self-fulfilling prophecies. You know what I mean? The youth will say, well, if I don't hear anything good, then I must be bad. And then they internalize that and they begin to act those things out.
Yes,
So if
sir.
you think I'm bad, then I might as well just be bad. You know what I
Then I'm
mean?
bad. You keep
Right.
calling me bad. You calling me this. So you're accusing. I'm hearing that. That
Hmm.
the reason the reason I believe spiritually also always that the ear canal it's almost like a canal when you having the birth canal, because the seed bed is here in your
Hmm.
ears. What you continue to hear will take root in some form of fashion. Negativity, positivity, it's all basic. If you continue to feed it, it's going to produce a different result. But anything unfed eventually dies.
Right.
Anything unfed, event you must be fed. A plant, a human being, an animal, an energy, negative. If you keep feeding it, you're giving it the nourishment it needs to keep getting bigger and stronger and keeping it going. But once you take away that nourishment, stop feeding it. If we don't feed the negativity, we can rehearse and accuse our young people of being well and tap them into what art resource can allow that social, interpersonal, social, emotional communication skills. I'm noticing, going into, uh, stores over the last few years and definitely coming out of the pandemic, where you have young people that are working at a market or a fast food joint or whatever, and
Hmm.
just the lack of eye contact.
Right.
They can't. It's almost like fish out of water, almost type of an energy in some of these. Not everyone, but some of these
Hmm.
young people. The numbers I'm starting to see a pattern of, because I'm so used to being in my device
Hmm.
that I don't even know how to really interact with another human being that's authentic and
Right.
pure. And so what we want to do to respond to that, and our belief is stay strength based,
Hmm.
right? Stay connected to what a young person can do. Keep talking about that, right?
Hmm.
Plan ignore the unwanted behavior unless it's in the moment something that is really going to cause a life of limb or property or or life loss of life, limb, or property. We need to just plan, ignore, and reshape what behaviors we see that are unwanted and stay single pointed on going into the direct. Yes, somebody, Miss Taylor says, focus on the positive and not the negative. That's exactly where we want to be ongoing, right? And it's work. It's not always, you have to train yourself to not, what's that commercial where they have the Captain Obvious?
Right.
It's so hard to not just shout out what you see.
Right.
But if
Right.
you, but now we have to retrain ourselves as leaders, as educators, as for young people, is if it's not going to be loss of life, limb, or property in this moment, can I address it later? Can I stay focused on the things that I want them to do and keep rehearsing that in their hearing, keep accusing them of doing it the way we believe is the best benefit for them and most advantageous. And so, yeah, that's a part of our approach. What's our next slide, brother Ford? And we're gonna go through these, and then we're gonna end with the last one. So this talks about the program, and again, I mentioned that uh, again, we're serving right now in the mostly in the inner city community. There's some rural and suburban programs that we currently have because we approach all three, and we're seeing that all of these art forms are attractive and exciting for educators, for parents, and definitely for our students and participants in our programs. We're always looking to create partnerships in Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCA's, schools, rec centers, churches. And again, when we say schools, we're talking the full gambit, public, private, Montessori, charter, Catholic, Seventh-day Adventist, Hebrew schools, Islamic school, wherever there are young people, all day schools, boarding schools. We believe that there's an opportunity in early learning centers and after care programs when you think of, again, young people awarded to the state that may be in an independent living program, maybe until the age of 18 or 19, or some other form of, they call it in Maryland, Ready by 21, where they keep young people in a form of programming. All of these arts fit into those programs, even in the detention centers. We go into the juvenile detention centers and ensure that we can have pockets of offering of these programs in some form of fashion. That's again explaining programming again. We can go to the next one. Yes, we can go to the next one again. Culinary arts, and so this is our one-on-one arts mentoring. What I mentioned that's connected to Department of Social Services. Says they were accepting new referrals. We're on a rolling referral basis. This is one of those programs again where we're spearheading. We believe in the arts, as it says at the top: exposure, enrichment, experience, and engagement. Those are our 4 E's that we believe this one-on-one arts mentoring program, which again is available in Maryland, DC, Virginia, and PA, for young people connected to foster care, connected in a way to receiving mental and behavioral health treatment or services. We believe that the art should be a part of that milieu, a part of that expression, therapy, psychiatric rehabilitation programs, other on-site outpatient mental health programs. We believe that the arts should, heavily be included in what's offered there. And so this particular program is specific to that modality of serving young people, again, through a combination and collaboration of their treatment. They're also getting this mentoring in the arts, in an art form of their choosing. And it happens at the home or at their placement in a group home or in a residential treatment center or at an office for the social services or the juvenile services. And we really believe that this is a way to impact this generation with pairing them up with mentors that can coach them, lead them, and expose them to the arts in a interpersonal fashion that could really make some deposits. Some of these art forms will have a career path. When you think of culinary arts, you think of media arts, you think of fashion and cosmetology, our beauty program. Those three specifically are immediate tracks for career path, or if it's not a career, maybe it's a job for a season. And so definitely this is something that is really our new heartbeat program that we're building from scratch. And we need all the positive energy we can get to respond to these needs. Partner engagement and empowerment, that's a connection to our programs we're doing. Part of it, an extension of it is what we're doing today on this webinar is, meeting with the community and parents and leaders and speaking of what components of our programs really are useful for all of us and not just young people. So the next one. That's just a snapshot of data, the time of this particular slide, uh, looking at what we've been really seeing in terms of numbers. You know, because of our model of being in a school during the school day, we're able to touch in a school year thousands of young people in our programs with the arts. Snapshot a picture there, one of our dance programs. The energy of what we do and what we offer in schools is really predicated upon our wonderful arts instructors. They're amazing. Our LTYC arts instructors who are independently contracted teaching artists, arts practitioners, freelance artists that we recruit, train, and develop under our milieu and place them in programs all across the state of Maryland, DC, and programs new in Hampton Roads, Virginia. And so those students are being served by wonderful, amazing instructors, and that's how we fulfill our mission. It's a couple of testimonials, it looks like, principals, school academic officers talking about middle schools and the culture and the programming. We really pride ourselves in working with school leaders and parents alike. You know, things aren't always perfect. Of course, we know that with working with people and working in programming so that we are not. Do you serve those that are home or cyber school? Yes, yes, we do. We have a LTYC Learn platform that we've created, as I was mentioning earlier about the homeschooling piece for Grown in America. So we've responded to that because we're concerned. I think me and Jamal got on another topic, but we're concerned about that. So we want to offer fine arts and the online platform to address homeschooling and virtual learning. Just right now in Maryland, there are about 80,000 young people who are being homeschooled or virtual schooled. And so we're seeing a trend even in our home state. 80,000 is a large number of students to be homeschooled. So yes, to answer that question. But the testimonials here, we kind of pride ourselves on even when nothing, things aren't perfect when you're working with people and you're working in schools and rec centers and community centers. There's always a dynamic with young people and the staff that comes up, but we love to work with people, right? We want to figure out the solutions. Part of our philosophy of care model, ESFT, that we're going to talk about in a little bit, is solutions focused. Again, we don't want to be the captain obvious in any dynamic or scenario, especially when we're serving each other and working with folks for a better day and a better change, impacting their lives. We want to stay solution focused. Can we find the solution? Can we put our heads together? Can we simplify? And that's where, we love to live. And so these are just a few testimonials of folks experienced directly working with our team. And so finally, we're gonna live here for a minute. Um, and this is really something I want to speak about, and then I want to kind of get some feedback. Thanks for those putting things in the chat. I want to love to hear some voices, so it doesn't feel like I'm talking to a black hole. And we want to make sure that that everyone has an opportunity, if they want to tap in and share. So. Our focus today and our topic was, really to talk about the power of the arts and leadership in action. And so, leadership is not a title, it's a way of life. Leadership is not a title, it's a way of life. It's not about a specific title or role. It's about humility and knowing that it's going to take a group of folks to do anything that's important and coming together um, under that idea and those ideals, are really helpful. So we want to talk about the centrality of the strengthening model are the 7 rules. So our model that we use as our philosophy of care at Leaders of Tomorrow Youth Center was birthed out of uh, Salvador Minuchin's structural family therapy. It was enriched later by the Gregories that took it to enrich structural family therapy. and it is a communication model that is used in homes for family strengthening. ESFT, the model is considered enriched structural family therapy. The model is strength-based, just for your notes. And I hope that folks, if you're going to have a little bit of interaction right now, I'm going to give some things I think we should probably just note for ourselves for our ongoing strengthening. We definitely could share uh, this information, but I'm always, again, we're performing in creative arts. So I'm always an advocate for people having a pencil or a pen in addition to us typing in our, devices. Sometimes just writing notes helps to get the connectivity to the information that we're receiving or exchanging, helps us. So, I have my right here as well, just so as things are coming from you all, because it's an exchange. This is not a lecture at all. So I want us to kind of open it up soon. But being strength-based is the focal point of our model, our philosophy of care. And that, affinity or love, relationship, again, back to relationship and communication, we can get things accomplished. We can work together, and be able to move. Yes, you're taking pics of the screen, Amanda. That's great. And so we'll be able to, do more together when we are all aligned under that central focus. And so our 7 rules that we apply to family strengthening, we use these rules also for our classroom strengthening, for our arts programs across the state in DC. And also we use these rules um, with life, with family, with friends. These are not just rules from a clinical standpoint only. We've adopted the idea of starting with this foundation. And so there are many components to this model, which include intervention skills. It can be, parenting messaging sequences, talks about the family meeting sequences. There are a lot of, positive reinforcement interventions that we go through, but the crux and the core foundation of what the model is are found in these 7 rules. And so I'm going to read them, and then I'm going to ask for folks to have any questions, of course, connected to anything we've said, but also we want to kind of dig into these 7 rules and see if we can align ourselves here. So I will not find fault with others. I will not look for the fruit of my actions. And we've actually added to that in recent times where we say, I will not look for the fruit of my actions or words. I will not look for the fruit of my actions. Yes, I will live up to the power of my own discrimination. I will be single pointed. And then we always end with think something good, say something good, and do something good. So let's go to the one that always sticks out. Thanks, John. I will live up to the power of my own discrimination. Before I give I'm going to ask if anyone has been reading that, what resonates with you on what you believe that statement is saying. So we're talking about a strength-based model. We're talking about solution focus. We're talking about systems focus. So if we're saying that the 7 rules of that model is great, I see someone, Diane, that sounds great. Our own biases. When we talk about the rules, what would that mean when we say I will live up to the power of my own discrimination? Anything jump off at you, Jamal or Mark, about that as well?
I think for me, from my perspective, that living to the power of my own discrimination is, in a way, I'm almost seeing it as that internal self doubt, that piece, that the imposter syndrome, that thing that you have inside you that no one else really sees, but is holding you back. That's kind of what I was seeing in that. And the person put in there that internal bias, those
Yep.
internal opinions that we have.
Yep.
Should I put my voice out? If I put my voice out, they're going to make fun of me, or they're going to say something negative about why I'm thinking this way. It's really this
Yeah.
idea that, we can discriminate. We are probably the ones that discriminate against ourselves the most, more than anybody else.
Yes. Yes. I love the way you said that. I love the way you said that. And it makes sense for what I saw in the chat there when we think of, again, taking responsibility for your own behavior. Yes. Somebody mentioned something about their Christian faith, live up through the power. Absolutely, that's connected. The self-awareness definitely connected. Accountability always in important, and aware of your biases and prejudices. And guess what? Yes, your own biases. If I'm aware of them, right? Because again, as Mark saying, the first way that I could be on the journey of examining those is looking at myself, whatever like as Mark was saying, your own insecurities or your own words of fear. If you stay there, you're able to lend a different level of understanding and grace to someone else. And the place that you want to stay is in your own space. Because again, we've already started from the front where we're saying we're not finding fault with others. So that takes away that burden of having to pinpoint what someone else should or shouldn't have done, and keeping it internal on how that can move for us. I want to see somebody's question. Allow to make those small. Yes, yes, you must allow them to make mistakes. And so the single pointed one is also powerful, right? That rule is powerful. And before I get to that, when I saw someone ask a question about the fruit of my actions, in this particular model, again, the same as what it's freeing to take away the power of what someone else is going to do that affects you. That's a freeing space to be in when what someone else is doing or not doing is not predicated upon how you're going to move. And so that when you're not finding fault with others, which is again, these things are journey. Let's be clear. Some of them for me, like this is not something you read it one time and then you got it and you're doing it all and you just like, oh, I got all of it. Nah, these are ones where this stuff stick with you on your ribs for a little while. This is something that you feast on regularly to remind. We put this up. This is in our office right now on the whiteboard in our conference room for our whole staff to see as they're walking in and out, so that we can always stay solution focused and strength based. We can stay away from finding faults, and we cannot look for the fruit of our own actions and words, because that starts to be ego serving.
Mm-hmm.
And you get in the way of letting the other energy start to add on, because none of us are who we are because of one singular event or one singular person. It's multiple things in our lives that plant seeds to allow us to continue to grow. And if we stay camped out at what we're giving and doing, or while we're doing something for someone, especially when we think of young people, we have to trust that the energy that we're believing in, that what we're giving them in lessons, education, that is planting the seed, and the watering is going to come from somewhere else. And so that's the answer to that question. But being single pointed, what do we have to say about any thoughts about the power of being single pointed? I'd like to hear from anyone that wants to speak, if that's okay, Jamal and Mark.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to speak, they can always just raise their hand, and Jamal or I will pull you up to the front. While
Yeah,
we're
I think.
waiting, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark. I think when we talk about being single pointed, from my perspective, it's um, being able to hold your focus, right? Like it's um, not being able to be shifted off of the things that you value so easily. You know what I mean? Being able to stand firm on what it is that you say that you're going to do and focus on that thing, and not being able to be moved off of that so easily by negative comments or things of that nature. I think that's what, for me, looking at, being single pointed, I think that's what resonates with me when I think about that.
Absolutely. And a low hanging fruit example could be, think about that 5-year-old that it's time to brush their teeth, and
Mhm.
you're telling them it's time to brush their teeth. They want to tell you about the cartoon they're watching, what their sister did, all of these other things. And I'm actively listening. You can be actively listening and still redirecting them to the single pointedness of the mission that at that moment, which is you're going to the bathroom to brush your teeth.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
sissy hit you. Yes, I'm going to talk to sissy. You have to get your tummy hurt. Okay, I get all of that still happening. I hear you. We're gonna continue to tell me about it as we go into the bathroom for you to brush your teeth,
Right.
right? Because I'm staying single pointed on what the goal is at this time,
Right.
not being, and that's a simple example for that one. Was there someone that wanted to say or ask or insert?
Yeah, there were some people who chimed in the chat saying
Okay,
that
nobody wants to say anything outside of the chat.
yeah, um,
You guys,
Natalie
you
said,
guys are texters now, just like the
yeah.
kids. Generation. Don't nobody want to say nothing. Everybody just saying good stuff in the chat.
Yeah.
What was the last thing we had there? Not swaying back and forth. Yes. Having a foundation. I see that. Okay. Yes. All of that is connected to staying single pointed. But it now let me just say this, because this is also a part of our skill set for the model, is we always want to show understanding. And so, and we always want to find the good. And so single pointed is not an ability for us to be a jerk, right? Or an a-hole.
Mhm.
That's not the goal of being single pointed, because we're still being single pointed while showing understanding, while finding the good, right? Can we find, because we know we're not finding fault. So we've already eliminated that. We're not finding fault in the situation. We're
Mhm.
looking to find the good. And so if I'm being single pointed, I'm single pointed to whatever's going to keep us going towards the good,
Mhm.
right? And so because we know the next thing is that we must think something good. The more you rehearse in your brain, normally that's the things that you're going to say. And the
Mhm.
things that you start to say are normally evolutional to the things that you will become and want to do and implement in your life. And so if you think something good, if you say something good, if you do something good, those rules apply to not only service delivery, it applies to building of a team, it applies to any of our families, it applies to any of the organization's businesses or anything we're working in. If we can stay, and it's tough because human beings, we're gonna love, yes, your thoughts, your actions, absolutely. Behaviors, those are next. That will, your thoughts create how you feel. Feelings then connect. You wanna feel, everyone wants to be okay. So feelings then produce the actions that then allow us to feel okay with what we're feeling and thinking. So those where you get those behaviors and actions. It could be unwanted behaviors, unwanted actions, especially when we think about young people or those on a clinical or treatment journey. But it's always connected to how you fit being okay. We want a sensation. All of us do. You have to teach a baby how to share, right? Everybody wants it to be, right? You have to teach it, you have
Mhm.
to teach children how to coexist and play nicely in a sandbox together, right? First day of kindergarten. And so this is not, it's something in all of us that want to be heard and seen and valued. And so if we stay in the good, not that we're not identifying the areas of restructuring or needs improvement. No, we can see those, but how we get to the expected end of that progress is going to live in the good. Find, talk about what's pure, what's noble, what's true, what's honest, what's good. If we stay there, we're able to make it through the communication challenge. We're able to make it through finding a solution if we can stay in the good. And if we keep ourselves out of getting in the way, like Mark said, too much self-doubt, right? Because if you start to do a lot of self-doubt, it comes out, you'll start to doubt others. If you're mistrust, I always say the real deep-rooted folks that are skeptical or mistrusting of others are always battling within themselves the trust they have for themselves. We're all doing it. We have to rehearse a certain thing in order for us to become a certain thing. And
Mm.
so, what else might somebody want to say about any of these rules? We're not finding fault with others. That sounds so tough to do, especially in the world with social media, and then you're always talking about somebody and likes or dislikes on Facebook or IG. And
That one is an interesting one for me because I think I see this one a lot, right? Like especially when you're dealing with people who are in service to others. You get off work, you've had a long day, you go to the store, and the cashier's having a bad day, and they are giving you the most rude, crappiest service or whatever, and your reaction is to give them that same energy,
yep.
right? You know what I mean? Because I didn't do nothing to you. Why you treat me like this, right? It's
Right,
it's it's a human thing. It's how we
right.
think. It's how we feel. But instead of giving that cashier that same energy, what if I switched it around?
Yep,
What if I said something like, it looks like you having a rough day, it's a rough shift, or to
there you go.
acknowledge what it is that they may be going through
Yep,
regardless of what it is that I'm feeling. Like, I'm not going to find fault with you for feeling the way that you feel because you may be very warranted in feeling the way that you feel. I haven't worked your shift. I don't know what your
yep,
manager did to piss you off. None
yep.
of that, right? You know what I mean? So I'm going to give you a different energy, and then maybe you'll respond to me differently and respond to somebody after me differently. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's like being able to not find fault with others seems the way that I speak about it easy, but
Right.
it's not. It's not intuitive for what it is that we do moving through this. You know what I mean? This society is it's just not an intuitive thing to do.
At all. And Miss Debbie said giving grace to
Mm-hmm.
others, giving grace, you just never know. You never know. And it could be something surface or a personality quirk with that person, or it could be something deep,
Right.
serious, tragic, something they working through, grief, whatever, right? We all going to experience these things walking through. That's the thing that humanizes us and keeps us connected if we really open it up, stop wanting to segregate and call everything other things different. We're all going to experience the old same emotions, the run of emotions through life. It's going to hit us all at some point. So we never know. So we stay in that good, we stay fine, not finding fault with it. And it's tough. Are you kidding me? Family, leading people, friends, romantic relationships, platonic relationships, familial, whatever. Come on, man. It's
Yeah.
tough because it's, and that's why I love it at the top before you even get into the other rules. I love that one at the top because it's freeing. It's a daily journey, but it's freeing in a situation where you know are staying out of the need to find fault. Any other one of the rules that really sticks out to anybody? Because this there are a couple that can go so many different ways.
Yeah, I just want to go back to that one, that the finding fault in the others. It's really interesting because I think, and this is a perspective, is sometimes we find fault in others because what we're seeing or hearing is disagreeable to our values, our culture, our own history, and it's like we want to we look at that as a negative or something like that, and it's like sometimes we just need to actually sit back and say, huh, that's their perspective on life. And what can I, because a lot of times when we have these people that are maybe or angry or frustrated, it made me not feel heard, or every time that they put their voice out, it's been shut down. So they go louder, louder, and louder. And a lot of times it's like, actually, can I just hear what they have to say? I actually don't even have to agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can actually rent it in the moment, just tell me what's going on. I don't
Mm-hmm.
need to solve it. I don't need to do anything. I just am here to listen. And I think that can actually stop us from finding fault, because it can create the fault with curiosity to understand, just like Jamal said. The person's upset at the counter. What's going on? Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know everything that happened, and seeing that you're upset.
Yeah.
I think we have these natural pieces inside of us, these urges that can either help us do right or can shut somebody down. And I think that by not finding fault in the other person, you know, we can actually open up those conversations. It goes back to this idea of relationship. Is it worth the relationship? Do you need that relationship for the future? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But if you shut it down right away, you'll never know that that relationship is there.
Yes. And
I
some
see.
and I love what you're saying. And someone asked us, could the model be used in New York? Yes, the model could be used anywhere. These rules, that's why I wanted to introduce them. These rules can be used. And I'm putting out our email address, or our website rather, in the chat as well. But the rules can be used. Please, I'm free. I'm hoping to be along with Jamal and Mark, because they invited me and Colleen and the crew. We're conduits right now to introducing these 7 rules to, you know, everyone that's on the call. Please, take your notes or your screenshot or whatever, so that you can sit with them. I'm guaranteeing they you believe in those. It's going to change the way your relationships uh flourish, and communication opportunities, especially in those tough moments. Like Jamal gave the example of someone being rude to you, and how you handle that rudeness. Because we have a choice. You could go
Mhm.
right back at them and be snapping,
Mhm.
like, or whatever, or cause a conflict, or show understanding. Show understanding. You know, uh, and again, one of our skill sets in our model again is planned ignoring, not just ignoring, but planned ignoring. Planned ignoring is, maybe I can use this at another time to get this message back to this person, especially someone you're seeing regularly. Kind of tough to do
Mhm.
that with someone just out and about in the world, but someone in your life, your coworker, your family, your friends, I can see an unwanted behavior and be concerned, and I can just plan ignore it in that moment. I'm not going to address it in the moment where the tension's hot. I'm going to keep that for later, when we just chilling, having lunch, and talking about something fun, or at the movie, and say, hey, what, the other day when you did so and so, I was really concerned about how that went down. And it's always time to confront in that type of space. And so, when you, like you were saying, Mark, when you stay out of that fault finding, it really gives you another perspective and point of view. And as I've been saying, I like to say that it's freeing.
Mhm. I
Frees
was
you
gonna
up
say, yeah, freedom.
immediately.
Freedom. It's actually freedom to just be there without.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. Because the thing about it is, we all, and we're not talking about correction. We're not talking about setting limits, rules, and consequences. That's appropriate and a part of our model as well. We're saying that if we stay out of the need to aggressively find fault with each other, because all of us are imperfect vessels and beings, and are going to make mistakes through and at some point in life. So we want people to also maybe see the good in us, even when we're having a tough time showing the good. So if we give that good, it'll have another reverberating effect. And it's tough. Don't mean, listen, still going, probably, if you're a person that like to argue, you still gonna argue. Let's just keep it clear. If you're a person that love that exchange, if you're a person that's your temperament level, your personality level, like, that's gonna be what it is. But even in that exchange, you can still choose to not find fault. You can still choose to say, I'm planting this seed in this person's life, and I don't know when it's gonna sprout forth. I'm the conduit. I'm not looking for the fruit of my actions, which is
Right.
super tough.
Mhm.
That's super tough because we, as human beings, we love the sensation of doing good.
Mhm.
We love that. Even the
So
most evil person.
you you make such a good point, and it's funny because I tell people all the time, I love the debate. Um, I'm not looking to change your mind. However, you can have an opinion, and I cannot agree with that opinion. But if you go to sleep tonight worried about the fact that you couldn't change my mind and be upset about the fact that you couldn't change my mind, then you're now wasting energy worrying about something that you can't. But it's like you said, you're looking at the fruit of your actions. Like, you couldn't change my mind. And so now that's bothering you. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, no, it's not about that. Like, it's about having conversation. And I tell people, those for those people who like to argue or debate, like I say,
Yeah.
do it in a way that's what I like to call fair. You know what I mean? We're not doing low blows. We're not, you know what I mean, pointing out the horrible things of people and things. It's fine to have an opinion, but how you express having that opinion can come across in a lot of different ways. And if you remain and you try to stay fair about how you have your opinion, then you can have those arguments and debates with people all day long without anybody getting upset.
Right. Right. Exactly. That's it. And I love how you said it. It's not a man, you have to be able to not carry and hold on to those things because it'll keep you up or eat you up. You
Mhm.
know, and it's a journey. We're all on that journey to say, I'm gonna, let what I know I deposited from a pure place have and take root when it needs to.
And
And
I saw Johnny had their hand raised. I wasn't sure if that was a mistake or if Johnny wanted to come on and have a conversation with Dermell. If you raise your hand again, I can bring you up and allow you to have this conversation with Dermell, ask your questions, and have some back and forth. If you would like, raise your hand and I can. There you go. Bring Johnny up. You can unmute Johnny.
Hey, this afternoon, good afternoon. Uh,
good afternoon.
I'm certified peer specialist, and the way we are trained is always to think about the person and the situation that they're going through, because and not be judgmental, because it's called recovery, and if they're not a teen or a child, I don't give suggestions because I ask them how they want to obtain their own personal recovery. And in understanding that, I'm always mindful that in any given situation, whether it be good or bad, to think about my response. Am I helping? Am I uh, being judgmental? Am I being discriminating about what this person is dealing with? Because the feeling is, how would I feel if that happens to me?
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, as growing up as a child, I didn't have anyone to listen to me or even try to understand what I was going. So that gave me a lot of trauma as a child.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because with that came the abusiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be I have to always be mindful not to say anything to upset that person, because their feelings are valid as well as mine. And I have to always keep that in mind of the type of questions that I ask and how I respond.
Yes.
Okay?
I love that, Mr. Young.
Mm-hmm.
That's great stuff. That's great stuff right there.
So just based off of what Johnny just said, and I know this is something I always like to have conversations about, is, you know, allowing our children expression. When you talk about the arts, I know a lot of that is about self-expression. But as parents, as older people growing up, especially growing up in a time where, you know, you heard things like children should be seen and not heard, or you would hear things about parents saying that you're not old enough yet to know this or know that. How do you deal with parents who kind of suppress that expression of the child?
I I would say help them again find the good in whatever that child is expressing,
Mhm.
right? And really identifying the need for a bonding to exist. You know, you're showing understanding when you're finding the good in a person, you're more likely to find a place of commonality, right? Where can you join them is also a part of our skill set. Joining doesn't mean I agree 100% with whatever your position is.
Mhm.
I can join you finding whatever place of commonality in that expression, in that thought, in that feeling. Can I align myself in a way that connects with you in the place that I do feel alignment, while staying free from anything? Because remember, we're not finding fault, but I can
Mhm.
still stay free from anything that doesn't align with what I believe as the parent. If I'm seeing something come from my child, or I'm the leader, the teacher, again, the adult to child relationship in all its forms, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
We don't want to suppress that expression. We just want to guide it in a way that's healthy and respectful, and then use positive reinforcement. And then, like we mentioned earlier, accusation, positive
Mhm.
accusation. Let's accuse them of saying it and doing it the correct way. Uh,
Mhm.
that would be my encouragement, and especially from our model. That's what we would teach, is joining first. Let's join. Let's find the good. Let's find a place of agreement, and let's, see how that bonding can happen if we're in that place of agreement.
Mhm. Mhm. Don, I would love for you to expound on what you put in the chat about some of our youth knowing way too much, especially in the younger years. Um,
Oh yeah, I see that question. Yes.
Yeah,
Hi, Donna.
I work with a population, actually all 17 school districts in my county in Pennsylvania. And one of the things that we run into quite often and more, and it goes right across everything, every race, ethnicity, creed, doesn't matter. We're finding our first graders, our kindergartners, knowing a lot more of what is going on with the adult behavior that's going on in the household than they probably should.
Mhm.
So being
Yeah.
able to navigate that, um, both for the child's benefit, but also to allow the parents an understanding that they may want to stop sharing or be in a public area doing some actions or what have you. So it's not only just educating the child per se. A lot of times it ends up, especially when we have younger and younger families who didn't have the importance of having a routine, those foundational skill sets for parenting. Um, and it's fine to bring those workshops and to bring that dialogue, to sit down and talk and give that advice and to have that exchange happening back and forth in a positive way, is something that we try to do on a daily, weekly basis.
Yeah, I
Yes,
appreciate that.
absolutely, Donna. That's exactly it. You know, I think that um, there is a balance again of what examples are being given to young people. Because again, what you hear, what you see, those are entry points into your psyche and your mind, your heart, your soul, your will. And so, yes, it is a concern that we must address as a community leaders and providers on how to uh through parenting training, parenting skill sequencing, and giving, you know, information, offer that to parents, and definitely younger parents, where there's there's no veil, there's no, like you're saying, there's no blockage there from what that young person is being exposed to, that maybe they shouldn't be exposed to at a particular age, or the hearing of conversations and, you know, or in inserting themselves, you know, in my environment, in my community, they would just say, you know, you're a child, you got to stay in a child's place, you know, you stay in a child's place. So, and so the evolution of how we care for young people, and again, as you were saying, Jamal, not wanting to quench their voice, but at the same time, not giving credence for there to be conversations on things too early. But at the same time, as I'm hearing what you're saying, Ms. Dunn, and I'm thinking now about when we were talking earlier, just about technology and internet and AI and social media and all the things. How early is too early for certain topics? Because there used to be an approach where you believe that a natural human progression of how things would evolve for the need for knowledge came at certain benchmarks through how society has framed and the system has framed things, you know, elementary, middle, high, you get this, 16, you know this, you can drive, you can go here, you're 18, you can do this, you can, right, there's this benchmarky type of a thing that exists in our world. But it's like, hey, what's too early for certain things? Because a kid may be able to find it on their phone or tablet and need some communication. What's your thoughts about that?
And exactly. And I think it really boils back down to relationships with regards to child relationship, the child to educator relationship, the child to parent relationship. If a child is being brought up in a home surrounded by, if you're upset about something, I want you to confide in me, I want you to talk to me, let's talk this out. I want there to be a relationship that is there, that is solid. So for instance, if we do have a fourth grader who's going over for a sleepover, regardless of the sex or the gender, you know, and there are possibly some inappropriate things due to social media. You know, some things are being shown, some people have access to things. This may be the first time that child has seen this, potentially, with regards to social media. There needs to be that relationship foundation between the child and the parent or a caring adult in order to allow them to come back and be able to have that discussion without a parent, you know, flying off at the handle, but to
Yes,
acknowledge that. You see what I
yes,
mean?
yes,
So it
100%. It needs to be
really boils
acknowledgement.
down to relationships.
Yes, relationships. And then parents have to use what we call in our parenting sequence, this, you know, I messages. You know, parents have to use those I messages. I am concerned. You know, I care. You know, I'm not sure what to say. You know, it's okay for us to encourage parents in that I message world, because that allows there to be open exchange, and you can find a purity in you know, what we're finding good there. That was great.
I think it's boils down to understanding, right? And I say this all the time. You know, when I was younger, it's just like you said, to stay in the child's place and all of the things. Um, it's if I had a question about something, I didn't feel safe to get the answer because I was told that I'm being grown, or you know what I mean. So it ends up being one of those situations where if they're coming and they're asking a question, it's just like you said, Dermell. It's not about squelching their voice and making them because they're going to still think about it. If you don't answer it,
Right.
somebody's going to. You know what I mean? So, and that's the way that I always think about it. Like, so it's, but I appreciate what Donna said because it's about having that relationship so that you can feel comfortable enough to ask the question, one, and then two, as the parent or educator or who the adult in the room, to be able to have that conversation in a safe way with that youth or young adult so that they can then have an understanding of what it is that they are questioning. You right? Like, so the relationship aspect of that is a big part, and I do understand that not all of our youth and young adults have those kinds of relationships in a home, but those are things that we as like you said, leaders can model outside of the home, and hopefully they pick up on those things.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. I totally agree. Any final in insertions? Anything anyone want to add or subtract from what we've just saying? Anything want to sprinkle some love on anything in a different way? Any questions about again uh the model, strength-based model for your notes, strength-based, solution focused, systems focused. Our foundation is the 7 rules. Uh, these 7 rules allow us to open up the conduits for that showing of understanding, that finding the good, being able to have those planned ignoring abilities for our folks around us, uh, and joining when necessary, bonding when necessary. It we can use these 7 rules to help strengthen our approach to communication with one another and clinical and treatment sessions and settings, educational, religious, community, familial, your platonic relationships, your romantic relationships. I think that this is a foundation for us to base on uh, a lot of things that we do as folks that are in exchange and caring for other humans. And again, if anyone has any question about specifically the how this leadership approach to action through the arts, because when we're providing the arts with young people, we're creating the conduits for them to have this open expression. Because everything, as you were just asking Jamal about that quelching, or as Ms. Donna was saying about it being too available and not being enough guardrails around it, right? Because we still want to set limits, rules, and consequences and make sure there are boundaries. Boundaries are important. But what we're saying is maybe it's not going to come in a traditional conversation. Maybe it's going to come through the spark of what that kid did as their poem or their painting
Mm-hmm.
or their song. You know, it might be something there where now you're hearing their heart or their concern or their worry or their experience, and now you're able to navigate what that conversation or that exposure or whatever needs to look like. And so this is really, important. Again, as you all are on the chat and moving, please take our website, check in with us, follow what we're up to. And again, and Jamal knows this, Mark and Colleen knows, we've been really intentionalizing our relationship building for Pennsylvania and the areas that could use LTYC's programming for the arts and our approach to service delivery in the performing and creative arts, as well as collaborating with mental and behavioral health providers, physical health providers. We work in, again, children's hospitals, lockdown facilities, all of that wellness, we believe, has a place with the arts. So thank you for, it was a pleasure to see everyone's comments and meet folks. Those have now had some information about us. Please feel free to reach out if there are more questions. Anyone else have anything to add or anything they want to say, or again, sprinkle some final love on what we've talked about today? Because this is our love exchange. This is how we love ourselves. This is how we love other people, is by living up to the power of what's inside of us, not looking for the fruit of our actions, staying single pointed, thinking, saying, doing something good, and starting out with not finding fault with others, allowing ourselves to be free from fault, finding of ourselves as well. We're looking at ourselves, but not finding fault in any way, looking for the pathway to get better, looking for the pathway to evolve and to serve each other. If that's something that we all would communicate, I think we'll get a lot accomplished in our communities and with our families if we can start at that place. Anyone else want to add or say here?
Sure, for sure. I echo everything that you just said, Dr. Brunson, and want to be respectful of your time, be respectful of everyone else's time. We're coming up on time. It's 1:24. So I want to thank you for your presentation. It was insightful, enlightening. I love the conversation. We want to let everyone know that this is the last webinar for the PA Care Partnership due to, as you all know, funding not being released. We will be disbanding at the end of this week. It's been a great pleasure to be able to present to you these webinars. It's been a great pleasure for us to have these conversations, bring up these topics because they are important. And it's been our pleasure to be able to deliver these things to all of you. Mark, would you like to say anything?
I would be repeating what you said, but yeah, just thank you all, and know that as the PA Care Partnership closes, the Youth and Family Training Institute, or YFTIPA.org, will be continuing on to do some of the work of system of care, providing trainings and webinars. So if you're on our email list, many of you are, you should have been getting some emails from our email blast. So please do sign up for their email blast, and we look forward to continuing this work into the future, no matter what. So, and Jamal will be there to take it forward as well. So, all right.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We truly appreciate you, Dermell. Thank you again for your wonderful presentation. This presentation will be linked into our YouTube page for anyone who was not able to make it, or if anyone wants to rewatch it, or you can't find the information on Dermell or his organization, you'll still be able to watch this video. All right. Well, again, thank you, everyone. We appreciate everything, your participation over the years, and we do look forward to seeing you in future events, wherever those may be. So you all take care, and we'll see you soon.
Have a great day, all.